Trubisky is improving, and he gets the Vikings this weekend in Minnesota. And Trubisky's played well against Minnesota in the past, and they don't have the pass rush that they've had in the past, Big Cat. Can Trubisky still become, dare I say, elite?
No, come on. He's a nice guy. I'm rooting for him. I am rooting for him big time this Sunday. But Matt Nagy, like, getting in front of everyone, being like, I think this offense is turning a corner. Like, okay, they scored 30 plus against the Lions and the Texans. Let's pump the brakes. The Vikings, you just said it, don't really have that defense. So the Bears might, and I've put myself in this spot where time and time again I get my heart broken, but they're playing against the stretch here against the Vikings, the Jaguars, and maybe the Packers, who don't need a win. They could win out, and it could be three defenses that aren't really that great, and we could be sitting here in the Bears in the playoffs. I've gone through that, Mike, but I also know, realistically speaking, the Bears' offense has looked good against the Lions and the Texans. You want to say the Vikings are bad defensively? That's fine. But I'm not going to say that everything's all of a sudden figured out and they're a good unit and they're going to be great going forward. That's just not true. That's just not true.
I'm a firm believer that if Trubisky had been playing that Monday night, the Bears would have won. That one of the reasons the Vikings were able to pull it off, they gave the Bears so many opportunities early, but the Bears offense couldn't do anything with them. And that's how you get the Vikings down. That's how you get them. And listen, late in the game, They kept giving the ball to Cordell Patterson because he seemed to be the only guy who gave a crap at that point. And that Cordell Patterson edge that he has against the Vikings is real. He brings that to the table on Sunday. I think the Bears are going to win the game. I'm being realistic. I think they are.
I do too. And in that game, the Bears were horrific offensively, and they still had the ball at like the 50-yard line with 2 minutes left and a chance to win the game. So I agree with you that, like, the key to me here is the Bears defense has had moments where they have seemingly quit on the season, and I do not blame them whatsoever because that unit has carried this franchise for the last 3 years and basically been the only reason they're relevant on Sunday Night Football, on whatever, all these things, get to the playoffs. So the defense having moments where they've quit, I actually kind of understand. I have no ill will against that. If the defense, though, decides like, hey, we're back, we're going to play with an edge. And going back to that game, Mike, against the Vikings, remember, Akeem Hicks goes out. When Akeem Hicks is not on that defense, the Bears are completely different. They have no teeth. You can run it up the middle on them. It's a completely different look. Akeem Hicks is the most important player on that defense. I know Khalil Mack's the best player. Akeem Hicks is the most important player. So I agree with you. I think the Bears are going to win this game.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook was not gashing the Bears while Akeem Hicks was on the field. And if you can generate some points in those early phases of the game, if the Vikings aren't running it and Kirk Cousins isn't throwing it, that's how you create that snowball effect that ultimately wipes the Vikings off the face of the football field. So I think that's what's going to happen this weekend. And I think we agree. The loser's done. The question is, does the winner have a chance to parlay 7-7 to 9-7 and a playoff berth? I think both teams probably aren't going to make it.
Well, so who do the Vikings have next? Because the Jaguars are the next game for the Bears. So I think if the Bears
Vikings
win this
play
game,
the Saints in New Orleans. Saints in New Orleans.
Yeah, the Vikings are probably done regardless. The Bears, if they win this game, they will have a Week 17 where they can get in the playoffs. I believe that. I've looked at it. Believe me, I've looked at every single playoff predictor. I've done all the numbers. If the Bears win out and the Cardinals lose one more game, the Bears will go in. They have the tiebreaker against the Bucs as well. So if the Bears can win out, or if the Bears can win the next two games, they will be facing Week 17. And Mike, this is actually, I know you don't have like that much pull at NBC, but could you do me a favor? Could you make sure that if the Bears do win the next two games, there's no chance that they put Bears-Packers on Sunday Night Football Week 17 for the Bears to get in the playoffs and the Packers to get the 1 seed and Aaron Rodgers to get the MVP? If that happens, I will not watch the game. I will bury myself in sand. I will not. I will put my head. I'll do anything but watch that game because I've seen that movie a million times. I do not want to see it again.
You are grossly incorrect when you say I don't have that much pull at NBC. I actually have zero pull at NBC, so there's nothing I can do to help you there if that's where the wind is blowing. The Cardinals have the Eagles, the 49ers, and at the Rams. They're not running the table. They're not running the table.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like the Bears, if the Bears win out, they will be in the playoffs. I think if the Bears win out and nothing else, taking out the Cardinals, taking out everything else, if the Bears win their last 3 games, they have a 90% chance to get to the playoff.
Well, I'll tell you this before we move on to that Cardinals game. If the Vikings should beat the Bears on Sunday, they will beat the Saints on Christmas Day and then lose to the Lions week 17 to miss the playoffs. That's how that movie ends. I've seen it more than enough times. All right, Eagles 4-8-1 at the Cardinals 7-6. And the Eagles maybe moving toward a week 17 showdown with Washington for the NFC East if they can keep doing what they did last week. They beat the Saints, for crying out loud, with Jalen Hurts. Do you think the Eagles have a realistic shot at yet another, they're done, it's over, forget about them, here they come, and they steal a playoff spot?
Yeah, they can ride the wave here because that win against the Saints where they're 9-point dogs and it comes out of nowhere, this now feels like the momentum. Like if they win this game, then the momentum is really starting to build here. And they play a really bad Dallas team in week 16. So absolutely this could happen for them. And this is a winnable game. I really do think that. The big question I have with the Eagles is, does Carson Wentz hate Doug Peterson? Because Doug Peterson was a different play caller on Sunday against the Saints than he's been with Carson Wentz. And like for some reason, you saw it when Nick Foles was the quarterback. Doug Peterson has a better ability to call plays for guys not named Carson Wentz, which is a problem because Carson Wentz is your starting quarterback for the future.
Well, maybe. There's been this weird sense this year before Jalen Hurts became the starter that Doug Peterson was resisting it because Wentz is his guy. And then all of a sudden he embraces Jalen Hurts and changes the offense, does things they should have been doing maybe with Carson Wentz, because that's one of the things Sean Payton told me last week. It's basically the same skill set between Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. That's why, from Payton's perspective, he didn't need to know who the quarterback was well in advance because it doesn't dramatically change your game planning. The problem is the Eagles dramatically changed their offensive approach with Hurts, even though the quarterback skill sets are fairly comparable.
Mm-hmm. And there is something to be said for that spark. That spark that comes into an offense where they just look different. They look like a different team. You actually saw it in the second half against the Packers. They kind of came back a little bit in that game. And I am a firm believer in chemistry, how guys react to each other, what the huddle looks like. And for some reason, Jalen Hurts in that huddle has guys blocking better, has guys running better, running crisper routes, running faster from the backfield. It's one of those intangibles that makes sports so great and football so great, is that you don't know how a team will react to a change of quarterback, and you can get that bump, you can get that spark that everyone starts playing better.
Week 1 next year, who's the Eagles starting quarterback?
Carson.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, really. See, I think he's going to be the Colts quarterback. I think he's going to end up with Frank Reich. I think that's
I agree
where
with
it's
that.
pointing.
I agree that he's going to end up at the Colts eventually, but how do they get off that contract?
No, you trade it. You trade it. It's $34 million in a cap hit, whether he's there or not next year. You avoid $40 million in cash obligations if you can unload him. The question is, how do you work out the right trade with the Colts, where the Colts aren't squeezing you too much and you ultimately give in, whether you pay some of the money, whether you take whatever you can get to unload him off of your roster? That's where it's going to be challenging. Unless they can get another team to the table, they may have to do a deal like what the Dolphins did to move on from Ryan Tannehill, where they paid a big chunk of the money that was owed to Tannehill in 2019. All right, let's get through these quickly here. Patriots at the Dolphins. What's Tua Tagovailoa's ceiling, in your opinion?
Pro Bowl. He's a Pro Bowler, right? That would be his ceiling. Maybe go to a Super Bowl?
Wait, like Pro Bowler when everyone else says I'm not going? That kind of Pro Bowler?
No. I think he could be at his ceiling, top 3 quarterback in the AFC.
He's going to get tested this weekend. We know. I can't remember the stat, but it's very favorable to the Patriots when Bill Belichick faces a young quarterback for the first time. This isn't good for Tua. There's enough film out there now on what he does. I don't like this game for the Dolphins. And even though the Patriots should be in full tank mode, I think they're going to find a way to win it.
No, this game, the Patriots will win because that's what their season has been, where they don't win games they should win, and then they lose. You know, they're doing the flip-flop thing. So they lost to the Rams badly. They beat the Chargers badly. They're going to come back, and they're going to win this game.
Jaguars-Ravens, the only thing that matters about this game is whether or not you believe that Lamar Jackson had cramps.
No, and who cares? This is a who cares game.
It is a who cares game. And if the Ravens can't blow them off the field, then that takes away, clap on, clap off, the clapper. He's got to get the lights going with his waving his arms. All right, Lions at the Titans. You'll be serious about believing that Derrick Henry can get 2,000 yards for the season. He's got 1,532. If he gets how many against Detroit on Sunday? What's it going to take? How far is he going to have to be from 2,000 to get you to believe he can get to 2,000?
He only needs 100 this week. He only needs 100 this week because he's going to get like 400 against the Packers. The Packers are soft.
I think he's got a chance, and we talked about MVP odds earlier, or at least we talked about Aaron Rodgers being a little snarky about not winning more MVP awards. It's Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes as the favorites now for the MVP. And at one point this week, the points bet odds for Derrick Henry for MVP were plus 10,000. It's like, I'll take that bet. And apparently people did because now it's plus 6,600. If he should put together 3 Derrick Henry games, average 191, and I know that's a lot, but it's Derrick Henry. He's the one guy who can do it. He can set the single-season record. If he sets the single-season record, Big Cat, how's he not in the MVP conversation? That's what got Adrian Peterson there 8 years ago.
I totally agree. I guess the thing with Derrick Henry here is he can get it. It's just whether they want to run him this much because this game shouldn't be that close, and the Titans should win it fairly easily because I think the Lions, they had a nice bounce back game when Matt Patricia gets fired and Darrell Bevell goes to Chicago. Last week they were definitely in the game, but you got injuries. I mean, Frank Ragnow has a fractured throat. So it's more of a if Mike Vrabel says Derrick Henry wants you to get 2,000 yards, he'll get it. He'll get it.
Well, and look, it's also what he does with his opportunities because even if they don't give him a lot of touches, if he busts through the line and disappears for 60 yards, you're getting it the easy way. So I just think Henry understands his place in history, and I think he realizes the opportunity that presents itself, and he's always finished strong. Look, we all love to witness history. I wanted to get 191 a game. I wanted to set the single-season rushing record. That's the one record we never thought would be broken.
Yeah, no, he's going to get it. I just looked. He's playing the Texans week 17. So those are 3 bad run defenses that he's got coming up.
That'd be great if he would win or set the all-time rushing record by setting the single-game rushing record as well.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.